Hello, folks. Welcome to the HireMyVA Team and Business Building Podcast brought to you by Ugozi.com. In this podcast and at HireMyVA, we help you to reclaim your freedom through hiring and thriving with virtual assistants without breaking the bank. And that means your bank. And I've got that memorized by now, Larry.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, I should after all these episodes. But yeah. Hey, folks, I'm Dave Braun. And as you already heard, got Larry Broughton on the call with me today. We're recording another podcast episode where we are helping folks learn and ourselves about team and business building and life.
Hello, handsome Dave.
Hey, how are you, man?
Good. And I think that your last point was a good one, and that we're learning along the way as well. We're students of business, we're students of life. And I kind of describe us that we are aggregators of information.
Yeah.
Just sharing the good news about what we learned. So this is really part 3 of what was supposed to be a two-part series. You know, Dave, you talk so much.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the words are just flying out of me today.
But we're really trying to talk about how do you avoid burnout, and what do you do if burnout, happens, especially while we're working. Did you say that this is actually episode 131? Did you already say that?
I think so.
Because Dave, I don't listen to you on these things. I just
What?
I'm sorry.
What? Did you say something?
No, this I think is an important one, because as you and I look around to our clients, we look around in the business arena, there are a lot of variables that are just sucking the lifeblood for a lot of people, right? And so what we're talking about is how do we avoid burnout? And if burnout is in your life, what can you do? But before we do that, we really need to say what is burnout? And it's really simple. Really, burnout is just this form of exhaustion that's caused by a continual feeling of being swamped and overwhelmed. It's a result of this extreme, enduring, ongoing, and that's key, ongoing emotional, physical, and mental stress. It's often, but not always, related to our jobs, to our careers. And it creeps in when we're overwhelmed, when we're emotionally drained. So let's say that you've had a loss of a family member or something like that, or when we're unable to keep up with just our daily, incessant demands of life. So that's burnout, right? So
yeah,
you probably all felt it before. So now what, right? That's the question. Now what?
Well, and one other aspect I don't think we've talked about yet was there's external events that happen to us that will cause us to, or contribute to us feeling that burnout. But a lot of times, especially for entrepreneurs, it's self-induced, because we may be thinking, oh my gosh, there's this opportunity out there. There's that opportunity. There's another opportunity. There's so many opportunities, and they can all be very good for us and help us make money or be significant. But if we're doing too much, no matter how good it is, it's easy to get burned out.
Well, and often it's self-induced by our own shortcomings.
Yeah,
I'm the only one who can do this. No one is as good as I am. Exactly. I don't trust people. I'm seeking perfection. Unrealistic. Yes. All of those are unrealistic and frankly not true.
Yep. And that's one of the reasons why we've created HireMyVA. We have this program. We have, the course. We can get VAs for you. We have these virtual spotlight sessions, which are powerful in themselves, to help people avoid that burnout, because you got to have other people around you. That's one of the things that we talked about in some of our other episodes, right? Yeah.
And we could beat people up all day long, Dave, about this, but we probably, in the first 2 parts of this, we've probably given 25 different elements about this, but it kind of does lead into, and you've already kind of set up what I was thinking. The next one for me is that we have to be aware of just these environmental factors that plague us every day in our lives that can lead to burnout. Like this damn pandemic that hopefully we're on the end of right now. And I'm not going to say the word because I don't want this video to be taken down, or it might be a geopolitical worry that's plaguing us. It might be if you live in a part of the world or the part of the country where there's constant rain, or the winter months where you're not getting enough vitamin D in your system. These are environmental things that can have an impact on our mood and kind of can lead to burnout. So you have to lift your head up and survey the battlefield sometimes and say, okay, what's really causing this? Because I've been in these seasons of burnout, Dave, where you just start feeling sorry for yourself and it feels good to be in that dark side. Sorry, I'm just being honest with you, right?
Yeah.
But we do have to have the discipline. And thank goodness I've got people like you in my life who sometimes have to proverbially grab you by the shoulders and say, come on, it's not that bad. Or who really hold me accountable on it. So hopefully you've got people in your life, my listeners, my friends, who are asking you the same questions. But I don't think we can underestimate the impact that weather, geopolitical stuff has on our lives.
Yeah. And Larry, I think we may have talked about this in the first episode. I can't remember because, like you said, I talk too much.
I didn't say that.
I know. One of the key points is that you may laugh off, the weather, or I live in Southern California and it's sunny, or whatever environment it is, you may laugh that off, but it can only take one little thing that puts you up over the edge where you're like ready to just hang it all up, right? Yeah. You could have all these other things that we talk about, that get you to the 95% burnout, but you get one thing that puts you over the edge, and then you're in trouble. And maybe environment could be that. It could be that.
Yeah. Well, this is why it's important. Like in the last episode, we talked about you have to know your breaking point. And that only comes from experience and from a level of maturity. And so you have to start dealing with burnout before you get to the tipping point.
Right.
As soon as that low boil starts to happen, you need to start dealing with this, because you never know, like, who the hell knew that we were going to be closing down the country two years ago, in addition to somebody serving you with divorce papers, in addition to your senior vice president of sales and marketing going to work for somebody else and taking your business. Yeah. That's enough to make anyone's head blow up.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, this reminds me of what we talked about a little bit in the last episode. I want to take a different take on it, where we, one of the great things you can do to avoid burnout is to schedule vacations. And then, of course, to take them, but actually schedule them, right? Make yourself do it. Come up with systems in order to do that. And it's related. Let me tell you a story about somebody in our past mastermind group that I'm in. They were feeling this burnout big time, but that was because they enjoyed going on vacations in an RV, and they couldn't do that during the pandemic. Once they were starting to do that again, then they were feeling much better. So they were able to, hang in there through some of that crazy environment time, but they actually ended up, scheduling their vacations. And you've got to actually, as an entrepreneur, Larry, and business owners, we could, if we wanted to, work, 24/7, but we've got to schedule these things. We have to have that discipline to do that.
Well, listen, we do need to be obsessed with the success of our business, right?
Yes.
There has to be that healthy level of obsession, for sure. But the reason I found this so humorous, the way you said it, is you put emphasis on both scheduling vacations and taking them. I am huge at talking about vacations.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm really pretty good about scheduling vacations, but actually taking them, that's a different story. I find plenty of reasons to postpone them or whatever, right? So I found that pretty humorous. Guilty as charged, I guess, is what I should probably just say with that one.
Well, I think there's a great thing that you and I can do is, we go to different conferences and do some speaking and programs and presentations. A great thing you can do is tack a couple of days at the end of that to hang out, see the area, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, and in fact, thank you for saying that. That's exactly what I'm doing on this next trip. You and I are going on. I can't remember the last time I did that, but I'm staying for 2 extra days. You're flying back. I'm sorry, Dave. You're going to have to fly back by yourself. No one to hold your hand on this one.
Oh no!
I know. We're going to have to befriend a stranger. But yeah, I'm staying for 2 extra days just to visit friends that are in the city where we're going to be. I think that's a really, really good one. As a reminder.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say that one that we're going to, I suppose we could talk about it, leave it up to you, but that one that we're going to in June, Cheryl's gonna hopefully fly and meet me there, and then we'll stay for a few extra days.
I was talking about the one in April, but yes,
Yeah,
that's
this
good.
one will be this other one in June. Yeah, that's
I'm
what
good. I'm glad that you guys are doing that. That's awesome.
yeah.
But it kind of reminds me, though, this is why I've got, our office manager, my assistant, really, she's great at reminding me of these things. And if I didn't have someone like her in my life, or we didn't have Daphne on the team who can do the task help, as we call it,
Mhm.
by having a team around me, holy smokes, Dave, my head would explode.
Yeah.
But delegation is really one of the key things that can help us avoid burnout, or if you're in burnout, to alleviate some of the pressure. We have to be able to hand things off to somebody. We referred to the 3-column exercise earlier. That's part of the HireMyVA and the Victory program, as well as the this delegation, defer, delete, delegate, defer, do thing that we've got.
Yeah.
Do not subscribe or do not get seduced by the thing like no one can do it as good as me, you know, um, that type of thing. No one else can do it. That's the death of growth, both personal, professional, spiritual, mental. You have to become a student uh, in life and be willing to delegate and defer things
Yeah.
to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, what you can do is you can, if you have, like Melissa on your team, Daph on our team as well, we can also ask them to keep us a little bit accountable to help remind us that, hey, we may be working too much. Because we've got to create some good boundaries between our life and work, whatever those are. Like we talked about working 24/7, that's not healthy. And yes, we should be obsessed with our business, but we should be obsessed for the long-term health of ourselves and our business, both of them.
Yeah.
And if you get burned out, how is that going to help your business?
Yeah, I love that you use the word boundaries because, we hear oftentimes, Dave, and there's been books written on this about work-life balance. My friends, there is no such thing as work-life balance. It's just
Yeah.
not going to be there. Balance means being equal, okay? And you're just not going to be able to have all things be equal. But setting appropriate boundaries is really good. And you've done, I think, of everyone I know, you're kind of the best that I know at doing this. Will you schedule specific times? Don't bother me during this time because I'm doing this. You've got, your focused work time all in your calendar. Sadly, I still, at my advanced age, still am not very good at this. And so there is the assumption if Larry has a hole in his calendar that I can go ahead and book a meeting in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? I have to get better at saying, hey, this is going to do not disturb time. I may not be having a meeting, but I'm working on something during this. That's an appropriate boundary.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Boundaries mean nothing if they're not enforced, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So.
And your team can help you enforce them if you let them and give them permission.
Well, it's the same thing about protecting our time with ourselves and with the people on our team. We also have to do the same thing with these nagging clients that we have. I can think of
Oh,
a couple times
yeah.
in my professional life, Dave, where it's been like I want to pull my hair out, or I avoid going into work, or I avoid certain meetings because was twice in my career that I can think of pretty easily, where these just nagging clients who, like, no matter what we did, it wasn't good enough, right? And when I would have conversations with them, sorry, that was my New York accent starting to come out, is, oh no, we love you guys, but they turn right around afterwards and are bad mouthing team members. It's like it was in their DNA to be
Mm.
negative, to whine, complain, and their philosophy was, well, that's how you inspire, or that's how you motivate someone, is to be a nag.
Mm.
And catch us doing something wrong instead of catch us doing something right. I just don't do that anymore, because we have to remember the 80-20 principle, right? That really 20% of our clients are generating 80% of the revenue,
Mm-hmm.
right? And but there's the flip side of that. 20% of the negative people are consuming 80% of our time and providing 80% of the headaches.
Yeah.
Right? So it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about boundaries. Set boundaries of the type of people and clients you're going to have in your life.
Mm.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You're
I have,
scrambling for something.
I have another mug.
David,
Nathan Ingram says
mug.
this.
What?
Says good
Good fences
fences
make
make
great
great
clients. That's
clients.
so true. That's a good one. Good fences make great clients. I do like that. I do like that.
It's funny. I've got these mugs here, and I know I never drink out of them. I use them for pencil and pen holders, but they've got cool things on them.
Yeah. Well, you've got your
Remind me
water
of something.
bottles. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dave, I don't know if you got it any more, but I think I'm kind of wrapping up in my head. I think we've got over these
Yeah.
last 3 episodes, a lot of them, but you used to I forget who talked about habit stacking.
Yeah, it was actually my financial advisor has
That's right.
kind of coined that term, and I'm like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking about this. That one way is to, like, if you're doing your exercise routine, like yoga or meditation, those kind of things. I think it's really important. Um, the mindfulness, I can't underestimate it. And I know, listen, I used to think this was a bunch of nonsense as well. This, the mindfulness meditation stuff. But and frankly, I remember being surprised when you first got into yoga years
Mm,
ago.
yeah.
And now you preach the yoga thing all the time,
Yeah.
right?
It's
About
it's
both the physical and the mental benefits that you get from it.
yeah, I've changed a little bit, and I'll tell you why on that.
Okay.
Because I realized the other day is that the yoga and the hold on a sec. The yoga and the mindfulness, clearing your mind, that was really helpful. But one of the things I found, Larry, that I was missing was I wasn't learning like I used to.
Really?
And so I thought to myself, let me try this. So I've really got my own routines that I go through,
Okay.
that I've got, mentally stored. And then I listen to a podcast or an audiobook while I'm exercising. And like, I was just listening to, another book, and as I was working out, I'd stop and write down a bunch of notes that I'm showing on the screen here of different things.
Mm,
And so what I'm finding is, for me at this point is, and I probably should go back to doing a real yoga routine.
yeah.
But I'm finding I'm combining the physical with the mental, the learning. One of my strengths, like we talked about before, is learning. And so I'm doing both of those things together in the morning, and it just fuels almost every day. That, along with one of the habits that we've talked about, is having, like, I think you and I do smoothies. We take care of ourselves physically.
Right.
I mean, we do some of those things in the morning as the basis of our day, and it gives us a lot more, I don't know, cushion in our day to be able to handle some of the, maybe it's a better word is resiliency.
Yeah.
It gives us more resiliency to be able to handle things that come up through the day, and to be able to handle the fact that, oh man, by the end of the day, I'm feeling burned out, but you get a good night's rest. We talked about sleep, and then some exercise in the morning or whenever you do it, along with feeding your strengths. That can really keep you from getting over the edge. It really
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
And and then there's another thing too, is when we're doing these podcasts, it's always reminding me of, it's always helping to improve me as we talk about these things, because I learn a bunch of stuff from you, and some of it's also just thanks for the reminder. TFTR.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dave, we probably ought to try to wrap this thing up. By my mental count, there's got to be over 25 different things that we just listed.
Yeah.
Here.
And maybe folks, you've listened, you've hung with us through these 3 episodes. Maybe what you can do is, review them, go back and listen again. But the ones that we've mentioned recently, maybe there's 1 or 2 things that you can adopt. There's a bunch of them, like Larry said, maybe 25 things, but maybe just 1 or 2 things that you can adopt that will give you the ability to be more resilient, to be able to take that edge where you're at that burnout point and bring it down just a little bit.
Yeah, because the answer isn't always change careers, get a divorce, move to a new state. Although you feel like it sometimes, run away from my family. If you can just take the pressure off a little bit, you can start thinking a little bit more clearly. So I love that idea, Dave, of picking 2 or 3 things and release the pressure valve a little bit so you can think about this.
So what would you say, Larry, for you personally, what do you think would be those ones, maybe the top 2 or 3 or one that causes you to, because you've had so much stress given stuff going on in your business and been in your life, plus some things you've been dealing with physically. You've had so many things. How are you able to cope with those? Maybe some of these ones we talked about, the 25, is there 1, 2, or 3 of them that really have helped you?
I feel like I've turned the corner a little bit. For those who don't know, as we're recording this, we are in end of the first quarter 2022. So we've been in the pandemic for over 2 years at this point. My business was basically almost completely shut down, furloughed 67% of our team members, sold hotels, lost contracts, so that's been very tough. Trying to grow the business at the same time, been very difficult. My son was killed in a car accident a couple of months ago. I've had some health issues. There's been a lot, Dave. So to me, what I'm learning in the last couple of weeks as things feel like they're starting to turn is I've been forcing myself to get more sleep. Okay. I've been pursuing this spiritual thing that you and I talked about earlier. I've been journaling a lot more. And therapy has been really helpful as well to get an outside perspective on things. That's what's helping me. And those are the top few that have helped me on the burnout thing. There's probably more, but you asked for 2 or 3 top ones. How about you?
I would say I'd allude to what I talked about before, like my morning routine, combining the the physical with the learning. Plus in the morning, another habit stacking is I read, my Bible on my phone, and I journal in this Bible app on my phone while I'm actually walking outside.
By the way, I should add that in there as well. Last 2 weeks, I have gotten back into the physical, and I do the same thing as far as I'm listening to a book while I'm out walking. So that's helped, or a good podcast.
Yeah. Those are really helpful. And I think one of the top things we talked about a little bit at the very beginning of the episode 1 was having a group of friends where that you can actually go and talk to them on a regular basis and get that crap outside that's inside of you out.
Well, by the way, these group of friends have to be non-judgmental. Right. I was so nervous to bring some things up to you guys last week, because a little bit crazy, wacky outside, mainstream thinking. And you guys were all like, dude, this is why we're here. Right. And I know that you left there rolling your eyes at me, but you guys were very supportive.
well, it's, I think you've termed it better than anybody else, is that there's all this other, there's, maybe a rolling of the eyes or whatever, or disagreement, but overarching all of that is an agape love that we have for each other.
That's right.
Right. An unconditional love, but we're going to love each other no matter what each of us does.
That's right. Yeah.
And good. That just knowing you have a group of folks like that is, gives you a lot of resiliency.
For sure.
It really does.
Yeah, it does.
So that would be one of the top things too.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay. We should wrap this one up, man. This is our first 3-parter, and there's been a lot of stuff in here.
Okay. Well, let's do that. Well, thanks everybody again for being with us, listening to our talk about avoiding burnout. We hope you can take a couple of these things and really implement them, and to give yourself some resiliency. Even if you're not there at burnout yet, there's going to be times when you may approach it. So I think it's really good for you guys to just take 1 or 2 of these things. One of the top ways to do that also is by building a team, having folks around you that can take some of the pressure off. And that's one of the things we do at HireMyVA. We help you to build a team to get you to reclaim your freedom. With our course in the community and our white glove service. Our white glove service, we find a rockstar VA for you. And we'd love for you to do a couple of things for us right now. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already done so. Subscribe on YouTube for us so you can get reminders. Give us a rating, good rating, hopefully. Put a comment on YouTube. Let us know, how you're avoiding burnout. If you're on the edge, we'll be suggesting some things to you. We'd love to have a conversation with you. And then, of course, go to HireMyVA.com for more information on our course and community, our white glove service. You can get some of the transcriptions from these podcasts and go through them pretty quick, or you can listen to us again and again if you want. That's a great way to do it too. But remember, even without experience, you'll learn how to prepare for hire and thrive with virtual assistants. We're helping a lot of folks. We want to help you too. So just go to HireMyVA.com for more information.
That's right, folks. And we'll see you on the next time, or the next one, I guess. God bless you. God keep you. God hold you. Go get them. We'll see you later. Bye.
Okay. Bye.